Good evening to you, and thank you for choosing Hope TV to update you on what's happening within Kenya and the world over. We hope your weekend is going well so far. You're currently tuned in to Weekend Newswatch. My name is Joy Muchache, and I'll be taking you through our top stories for the evening. Karibuni. President William Ruto has welcomed U.S. technology companies to establish operations and regional offices in Kenya due to Kenya's favorable climate for investments in technology and industry. President Ruto stated that the government is pursuing bold changes to transform Kenya into a regional commercial powerhouse. He was speaking when he met with executives from Apple, Microsoft, Google, Intel, Nike, and The Gap, and other investors in San Francisco, United States. Others in attendance included U.S. Ambassador to Kenya, Meg Whitman, coordinator of Prosper Africa, British Robinson, and several investors and captains of industry.
Wakati itafika, hivi karibu inakuja, tutaongea na wananchi. Lakini vile mnavyojua tumekuwa tukisanya masahihi kutoka kwa Wakenya. Masahihi tumesanya imeshafika milioni 10 na zaidi. Sasa imetosha gari. Na tunajua yale kile ambayo tutafanya na hiyo sahihi. Mara hii haitakuwa ati sisi tunaambia wananchi warudi kwa barabara. Hapana. Wananchi wakirudi watarudi kwa mambo mengine tofauti kabisa. Sitaki kusema wakati huu, manake nitakuwa mimi nimetoa maneno mapema. Lakini wakati huu watu wetu wanasongea na wale watu pande ile nyingine. Lakini na nimeambia wa Kenya kwa kimombo wanaweza kusema watch this space. Asanteni sana. Mwisho kabisa sasa. This assessment has been done and we have done the rating on the basis of the information you have received here. Our scorecard for this regime is 30%. That is D-. This assessment has been done and we have done the rating on the basis of the information you have received here. Our scorecard for this regime is 30%. That is D-.
We're so sorry for that technical hitch that we've had. Why don't we take the President Ruto story again? President William Ruto has welcomed U.S. technology companies to establish operations and regional offices in Kenya due to Kenya's favorable climate for investments in technology and industry. President Ruto stated that the government is pursuing bold changes to transform Kenya into a regional commercial powerhouse. He was speaking when he met with executives from Apple, Microsoft, Google, Intel, Nike, Gap, and other investors in San Francisco, U.S. Others in attendance included U.S. Ambassador to Kenya, Meg Whitman, coordinator of Prosper Africa, British Robinson, several investors and captains of industry.
Bilateral trade relations between the U.S. and Kenya have begun to take shape as President Ruto called on U.S. technology firms to launch their operation offices in Kenya. The head of state said negotiations between the two nations are coming to an end, leading Kenya to sign the first ever bilateral agreement between the U.S. Tech giant Apple and Safaricom paved the way in signing an agreement by integrating M-Pesa and PayPal in a move to extend M-Pesa reach globally.
One, certainly, that you mentioned is M-Pesa. And it's not just what M-Pesa is doing to just transform financial transactions, which is extraordinary. But we've partnered with the M-Pesa Foundation over the last few years and brought not just digital skilling, but financial skilling to 600,000 small and medium enterprises across the country. The education system, the president mentioned it, is just rippling across Kenya. We've trained 12,000 teachers and reached 1 million students with digital curriculum. And so you're really seeing the foundation.
President Ruto championed Kenya as the next frontier, emphasizing that it is a gateway to the Pan-African market of 1.4 billion people, and assured his commitment to align U.S. investments with Kenyan opportunities.
Kenya, ladies and gentlemen, is your gateway to the Silicon Savannah, to the East African community, the most integrated regional market of 500 million people. It is also a gateway to the Pan-African market of 1.4 billion people. If you build in Kenya, it works for Africa, and if you set up in Kenya, your African footprint is guaranteed.
U.S. Ambassador to Kenya, Meg Whitman, also attended the forum and on her part urged U.S. industry heads to invest in Kenya as its largest export market is the U.S. Whitman reiterated that bilateral relations will benefit both nations as Kenya is a leading financial hub in Africa.
And Kenya, with its Silicon Savannah and super smart engineers, is the region's ICT hub. Kenya is a leading destination for foreign direct investment and venture capital. Kenya has a young, educated, entrepreneurial, and English-speaking workforce. And as I said, Kenya generates over 93% of its energy from renewable sources. And last but certainly not least, Kenya's largest export market is the United States, just past Uganda. So, let me repeat, this is exciting. Kenya's largest export market is the United States, and we think Kenya is ready for liftoff as it diversifies its economy. So Kenya, as I said, is the gateway to East Africa. 80% of East Africa's regional trade passes through the port of Mombasa. In addition, Jomo Kenyatta is East Africa's busiest airport. In Nairobi, it's served by 40 passenger airlines and 25 cargo carriers, including FedEx and DHL. FedEx just arrived in country about a year ago. Kenya also now has some excellent infrastructure, such as the standard gauge railway, a series of new roads, and modern ports. Kenya is already the regional financial hub for East Africa. Several international banks have had presence in Nairobi for decades. The region's largest stock market is in Nairobi, and the city hosts, importantly, the necessary legal, accounting, and consultancy services to preserve and accelerate that status. Now, one of the main reasons I brought the roadshow to the Bay Area is because Kenya's vibrant technology community, known as Silicon Savannah, is very exciting, and I know His Excellency is going to talk more about it. But the Kenyan government is committed to establishing Nairobi as the premier destination for tech sector innovation and investment. Many leading companies are already in Kenya.
Microsoft Chief Operating Officer Brad Smith lauded Kenya's ministries and government processes, which have proven to work systematically, making it easier for tech giant Microsoft to enter into business agreements with Kenya.
Our efforts to strengthen bilateral trade relations between the U.S. and Kenya through the Strategic Trade and Investment Partnership have begun to take shape. And as you heard Ambassador Whitman say, this is a process that we are engaged in, and we intend to conclude these negotiations and sign the first ever agreement between America and a country in the African continent.
Reporting for Hope TV, I'm Joy Mochache.
Chief of Staff Felix Kosgei has urged national government administration officers in the country to join the executive in fighting graft in the grassroots. Speaking after holding a consultative meeting with over 400 Ngao officers, Kosgei has sensitized them over their roles in the grassroots and the government's fight against corruption and substance abuse, while reminding the officers that the Ministry of Interior has consistently ranked top among the most corrupt ministries in the public perception because Gay has impressed upon them the need to change course quickly.
When it comes to our national government administrators, as we are having today here, there are several areas that we have discussed, areas that are prone to corruption, like land issues, land management, issues of transactions around land. There are many stakeholders around it that have brewed corruption around it, and we are telling them, take charge, ensure that you weed out those people who are bringing in a bad name by extorting, by making documents disappear, and also by demanding money for a legitimate service by the government of Kenya to Mwananchi. They still demand for money. We are saying no to that, and we have all resolved that thing will change. Secondly, we have also agreed that issues of alcohol and drug abuse, where some officers, some few elements have been put under payroll by crooked business people selling very dangerous alcohol, peddling drugs. These people, we have agreed that we are going to focus on them and get rid of these people, and also focus on ensuring that alcohol and drug abuse that has become also a menace in this country is gotten rid of.
Residents from Western Kenya have given their inputs during a public participation forum on the proposed computer misuse and cyber crimes, known as the Critical Information Infrastructure and Cybercrime Management Draft Regulation of 2023. This comes as the government moves to secure cyberspace to align it with the digitization agenda that is opening massive opportunities, including online jobs for Kenyans. Speaking in Bungoma, Western Regional Commissioner Irungu Macharia noted that the government digitizes most services and creates Wi-Fi for access by the public. Therefore, there will be increased challenges of cyber attacks, especially to those who are not tech-savvy.
Vile tunaendelea kudigitize huduma ambazo zitapeanwa za serikali, tunajua kwamba kutakuwa na tisho nyingi sana za kiusalama, hasa kwa vile vijijini, wale wananchi ambao hawajasoma, wale wenye wako na miaka mingi, wale ambao bado hawajakuwa computer savvy kama wengine, kutakuwa na changamoto kidogo. Pia tumefahamishwa na kuhamasishwa kwamba kuna makosa mengi ambayo yatakuwa yakifanyika chini ya hiyo sheria ambayo sisi wengi wetu hawatajua. Kwa hivyo ni muhimu leo tumejua, ni tunatoa wito kwa wale ambao ni wasomi waingie kwa huo mtandao ambao tumeambiwa na tumeonyeshwa pale, wasome hiyo draft regulations, pia wasome act yenyewe, na wale ambao ni wana huo uwezo waweze kuchangia, sababu bado kuna nafasi ya kuchangia kutoa maoni yao.
These regulations are going to be handy in our investigations to ensure that the criminals who are assaulting our citizens on the cyberspace get justice. In the past, we have not been able to serve our citizens as they complained to us because we didn't have proper regulations, and they ended up going back home dejected. However, going forward from today, we are going to ensure that when the regulations come into force, we are going to work on their cases and ensure that they get the justice they are seeking.
We believe that this initiative or these regulations are handy, coming at a time when the country is aggressively becoming a digital economy, regionally and globally, and therefore we need to secure our cyberspace so that we can support our socio-economic agenda.
CITAM Eldoret, which is one of the CITAM assemblies across the country, is this Sunday set to celebrate its 10th anniversary. The church, located at Pioneer Estate in Eldoret Town, Uasin Gishu County, was started in March 2013. At least 3,000 people are expected to attend tomorrow's celebrations, which will be led by the presiding bishop of Christ is the Answer Ministries, Reverend Callisto Odede. Our reporter Alice Diana is in Eldoret and tells us more about the event.
Preparations are on top gear ahead of tomorrow's CITAM Eldoret 10th anniversary celebrations. The church will be celebrating 10 years of God's faithfulness since its inception in March 2013 under the then leadership of Reverend Wesley Ngu and his wife Josephine Ngu.
And in this place, it was not on this site. It began at Alfax College, away from this town, and moved later to Noble Hotel, where it met and we were able to grow in families, impact with different programs. And the year later in 2014, that is hardly a year later, on 28th of September 2014, they were able to acquire our 4-acre land where we are actually standing and celebrating our 10 years. Yeah.
According to CITAM Eldoret Senior Pastor Reverend Elphas Bwire, at least 3,000 people are expected to attend tomorrow's service, including top leaders from the national and county government.
Tomorrow we are just expecting the presence of God. I should say that we're expecting God just to come up and just be able to bless the people's heart as we look at what He has done, and just be able to receive guests from all walks of life. We have invited everybody except nobody actually. We expect the leadership of the national government to be here, the county leadership to be here. We have invited ministers of the church. We have invited vice chancellors from this region, and even people that are away from this place that are part of this place, because we had people who have been able to minister to us and are moved out of this town.
CITAM's presiding Bishop Reverend Callisto Dede, who will be the guest minister, will preach about the attitude of gratitude. The service is expected to begin at 9 a.m. and end at 1 p.m.
We begin with praise and worship at 9 a.m., but we expect all people who are coming in to come by 8 a.m. and so that by 8:30 we are seated and be able to honor the leadership of the national and county that will be around.
Various CITAM Eldoret church members have expressed joy ahead of tomorrow's event, saying the church has impacted them in many ways and fed them spiritually.
CITAM has been home to me. I've really benefited from this church in terms of family growth. Actually, when CITAM came in here, we were looking for a place where we can fellowship together as a family, and everybody feels like is at home in church. And actually, it has been good for us. So I've been in Sunday school ministry, and also I've been in advisory committee, and I've learned so many things. I've grown in leadership.
I have experienced spiritual growth and so much impact in my life. I did my wedding here in 2016 with my wife Abigail, and we've been blessed with 2 boys. And I want to thank God because all along we have been members here. We have been fed spiritually by the various pastors that have been here. And we want to thank God so much. So much has happened in our lives since that time.
CITAM Eldoret has been a very, very powerful, uplifting assembly. There was more warmth. This place is cosmopolitan, so I was able to meet people from all walks of life congregating here and just listening to the word of God and being uplifted by the preaching of the pastors that the national office has been sending in this place.
Even as CITAM Eldoret is set to celebrate its 10th anniversary tomorrow, some of the pastors who have served as senior pastors of this church include Wesley Ngu and Josephine Ngu, Pastor Josephat Chichende, Pastor Ibrahim Ocheng, and the current senior pastor, who is Elphas Bwire. Reporting for Hope TV Newswatch from Eldoret in Uasin Gishu County, I'm Alice Diana.
Thank you, Alice Diana, for the report. As we move on to more CITAM news, CITAM Mombasa Men's Ministry and the Kenya Maritime Authority collaborated for an environmental cleaning event today. The event took place between 8 a.m. and ended at 12 noon at the Jomo Kenyatta Beach, also known as Pirates Beach. The event aimed to protect the marine environment, create awareness about effects of pollution leading to degradation of the same, emphasizing the importance and benefits of keeping the beach unpolluted. We're going to be taking a short break. Do not go too far. We'll be right back with more news.
Siku njema huonekana kunapopambazuka, na Hope TV hivi karibuni itakuletea kipindi kitakachogusia masuala yanayokuhusu, muziki wa kukuburudisha na isitoshe kukupa tumaini kila unapodamka. Ungana naye Beatrice Watare kila Jumatatu hadi Alhamisi, naye George Kishuru kila Ijumaa kwenye kipindi bomba Tumaini Alfajiri.
And let's take a look at what's happening in Libya, as Libyan authorities have opened an investigation into the collapse of 2 dams that caused a devastating flood in the coastal city as rescue teams searched for bodies earlier today, nearly a week after floods killed more than 11,000 people. Updates from Libya after the devastating event reveals an Emirati aid shipment arriving in Benghazi, Libya, after a massive flood submerged the port city of Derna. Heavy rains caused by Mediterranean storm Daniel caused deadly flooding across eastern Libya last weekend. The floods overwhelmed 2 dams, sending a wall of water several meters high through the center of Derna, destroying entire neighborhoods and sweeping people out to sea. More than 10,000 are still reported missing. That's it for our updates for this evening. Thank you so much for tuning in once again, and a huge thank you to all those who made the bulletin possible. We wish you a blessed night ahead here from Hope TV. My name is Joy Mochache.